Hello, and welcome back to my channel, Deadheads, or welcome for the first time, new Deadheads. Today, we have another Chinese special. This one promises an arcade system with a 7-inch HD screen. Look at that there, a 7-inch HD screen. We can do control double handle, support 2-player battle, and it is supposed to give you a nice arcade experience. We have a 7-inch, I think they mean TFT, although it says TFF, eye care color display, more than 20 languages, Capcom Play System, Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Color, Game Boy, Nintendo, Famicom, Super Famicom, Mega Drive, Mega Drive PS1, 8-bit, 16-bit, 32-bit, 128-bit, TF card, recording function, what's that about? Music playing, oh, this thing can play music, a built-in 130-watt pixel photography function and camera. So you can simultaneously play your games and take photos. What? Okay. Support picture browsing and resource manager. And USB 2.0. Oh my God, they actually upgraded this to USB 2.0. So not a lot in the box. Here we do have our instruction manual, which is in English, but it's in there, and it does kind of show you, the different things that you can do. Typical poor packaging. We do have a cable here, a USB, or maybe this is HDMI, don't know, and some headphones. Headphones are important. You don't want anybody to hear how terrible this sounds through the regular speaker, right? So here we go. Here's our unit, and voila. And it is, a big screen. And we'll start with the top here, and you can see two USB 2.0 ports. There's our HDMI out, so that is a mini HDMI cable. Here is our TF card right here. So I have replaced the card that came with it with one that has better ROMs, which is something you probably want to do yourself. This is, well, it just went flying, so 1 second, let me get that TF card. And it's back in. It does say a maximum of 32 gigs, but my Kingston 64 gig, it fit in here just fine. So again, the power supply right there, and an on-off switch, headphone jack, only an L and R shoulder buttons. No triggers, but if you're going to mostly play arcade, if you're going to play up to Game Boy Advance, you don't need the trigger, so that makes sense. On the back here, we have labels. That's nice. So USB 1, your mic, your 5-volt, which unusual. So you're going to have to use the cable that came with it to charge it. On-off switch, headphones, your TF card, your HDMI out, and USB 2, and your camera. Right there, the camera. Isn't that neat? Isn't that special? Game player, 16 gigs on board, your speaker, 2 speaker grills. I think only one's on there. I haven't opened it up, but it sounds terrible. Ergonomics, not too bad. Your screen. Now, we don't have sticks. We have sliders. I don't know why sliders were put on this, or even 2 of them, because we're playing up to Game Boy Advance. So really, kind of silly that that's on there, and they're awful. They're terrible. The D-pad is horrible. I can't stand this kind of D-pad. Oh, it's pretty. Look, let's make it look nice. So you have your volume and escape button. Your buttons here are okay. These are fine when you do the buttons this way with the colors. Don't do the D-pad that way. That's awful. And then you have your select and start. And so let's turn this bad boy on and let's see what we get here. And we'll just zoom in a bit. And it's loading the loading screen. Nice little opening. The card is in. Oh, woohoo, the card's in. So it let us know that the card is in. There is no ability, no custom firmware. You have, by order, this is not terrible. You also have this classic nostalgia arcade games that they've kind of, on the internal memory, kind of set up and given you ability to go to. And then, you know, just a very basic menu here. And so, you know, you can go over down here and you have settings, the display, you can change the backlight brightness, change the backlight, power it off, file sorting, language, again, lots of languages. English wasn't hard to see and find. And you have a stopwatch, a calculator, you have your camera, which, I mean, if this was 2002, this would be really nice. That's just, it's terrible. There's just no, this is not a touch screen. There's no adjustment. I don't know why that's there to act like a touch screen. I'm gonna take a picture. You can take a picture, back out of that. That's just awful. Your recorder, it's got terrible sound. Don't know why you want to do that. Your photos, you can put some music on here, but unless you're using the headphones, I would not suggest it. And some video. And so next we're going to take a look at some of the gameplay footage. So let's load up some games and see if this guy can even actually play the games as advertised. And so here we're going to play some Game Boy Advance. Let's do some Crash Bandicoot. Now, although this says that this is, you know, an HD screen, I am just not seeing that. It just doesn't look very high definition or clear. But it is playing the game. We got to give it that. Give it credit for what it's doing. And again, this is one of the worst sticks I've ever played. The D-pad. The D-pad's okay. Not bad at all. Can't fault it. And, you know, if you want a huge screen, this is giving you a huge screen. There's no doubt that you're getting a huge screen by playing this. But again, everything else about this is just about awful. Again, these sticks are just not sticks. I guess they're supposed to be sliders. They're just terrible. They're just awful. You know, but you got to give it credit for what it's trying to do. It is playing the games. It does come with quite a few ROMs and a lot of other weird stuff as we discussed, like the camera. But let's just shift games here. Let's switch games here, and I'll be right back. And you'll see that the slider is just awful, but it is playing the game. You got to give it credit for that. Again, you're not going to be able to do any adjustments. If you want a large screen, that is what you're getting here, a very large screen. I like the idea of a big, large screen like this for a low price for a Linux handheld. But again, there's just so much about this that is just weird and not really useful or helpful. And so in the end, the negatives outweigh the positives for this. But again, we'll show a little bit more gameplay here because it is playing the games. That's what it's supposed to do. Just the hardware has, you know, some lacking, and the software as well is lacking in a lot of abilities. So let's just shift and try one more game. Okay, and so here we've got some MAME running, and this is actually a pretty good use case for this. If you're going to play some old arcade games, they look pretty decent, you know, on this nice big screen. Playing some Ghouls and Ghosts here, which was a fun game that I loved as a kid. And the arcade version is, you know, absolutely the best way to play this. I'm not very good at this, but Here's just some more footage showing on this big HD screen, which again just has too many flaws otherwise to really recommend it. But we'll conclude this review here with some final thoughts. So, Deadheads, at the end of the day, this is not a recommendation. This just has too many issues. I love the big screen, but we should have had a decent D-pad. We shouldn't have done sliders, or maybe not even have analog at all. Because again, the systems that it's doing, I have no idea what chip's in here. You can do the two remote controllers, but this is just not a Dead Fred approved by. So we'll have to give this one a pass. No surprise. I think it's $50 on AliExpress. But please remember to hit that like button and subscribe and help this channel grow so I can bring you more content, more random Chinese handhelds. They're making dozens of these every month. And we'll see you next time. Deadheads, Dead Fred out.